Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. Thanks for joining us today. On today's video, brought to you by Benjamin Harding Music and Worship Explored, we're going to look at three categories that you need to think through as you plan congregational music for your church, for your local church, because we want to have vibrant congregational singing in our churches. And these three categories certainly help me in framing up the types of songs that we sing at our local church. All right, number one, it's got to be theologically true. That's a no brainer, right? However, there are lots of songs that are out there that might not exactly be theologically accurate. And so we've got to be really judicious when we plan worship, that we've got to sing things that are true, things that are rooted and grounded in Scripture and the person of Jesus Christ. You want to sing things that are true because as worship leaders, we're putting thoughts and words and stuff into people's minds and hearts. And I pray every Sunday that it's true, right? That it's true, that's good, that's beautiful, but it's got to be theologically accurate. All right, so that's number one. It's a no brainer, but I just got to say it. That's a category that I think through a lot in planning a song for our worship service. Number one, it's got to be theologically true. Number two, all right, here we go. Number two, it's got to be singable. Now, you've got to use your artistic judgment in this. It's got to be singable for a group of people that aren't necessarily musically trained. Okay? So you got to be a little bit of an amateur anthropologist here, okay? In deciding whether or not this is a singable melody line for your congregation. Okay, so let's just talk about range real quick. A lot of the songs that we are writing today are for artists that have a particular range that sound fantastic in that range, but congregations don't necessarily sing well in that key area. Okay, so when I'm looking at a melody line, I'm thinking G below middle C and maybe an E above, an octave above middle C. Okay, if only I had a piano around here, I could show you. I could. Oh, there's a piano behind me. Wait, 1 second. All right, so G below middle C, and then an E, an octave above middle C. That's what I try to focus the melody line within those notes. Okay, sometimes I go a little outside of that, but for the most part, I try to keep our melodic lines within that range. That's singable for congregations. Okay? And when you're choosing singable lines, all right, and you're making that artistic judgment, of course you're going to be thinking about the rhythm, maybe the speed, maybe the intervallic construction of the melody. Is it too kind of dissonant and jumpy, or does it really flow and lend itself to a congregation really singing the melody well? All right, so you can use your artistic judgment to look at a melodic line and make a judgment as to whether or not that's going to be really sung well with your congregation in mind. Okay? Because we've got to serve our congregation. We've got to serve our congregation. We've got to make it comfortable for them to participate. And for a lot of these songs that are written really, really high, it's discouraging for your guys in your congregation to come along in and have to drop down the octave, and they're confused and they're just wondering why can't I hit those notes? Well, because it's biologically impossible to sing full voice at some of these notes, right? They're written for artists, and we've got to be really careful that we minister to our congregation in our singing, in our song choices, okay? So let's be very careful when we think about the range, we think about the melodic contour, and all of those kinds of things. They got to be singable. So number one, it's got to be theologically accurate. Number two, it's got to be singable. And number three, here's number three. All right, number three, it's got to be appropriate for your congregation. It's got to be culturally appropriate for your congregation. Some of your congregations love a certain kind of music, and they need to be introduced maybe to a different kind of music just to kind of explore their artistic and aesthetic sensibilities, and maybe to explore and to build out some theological truth that only works maybe in a certain style of music. But more than that, though, more than that, there are songs that work in your local church that might not work in my local church. Not every local church, evangelical church, is the same, okay? And we've all got our communities that come together in space and in time and in culture that create their own culture, that create their own kind of cultural experience within their local church. And so, look, there are some songs that I just can't do at my current church, all right? Because we don't have a pipe organ and we don't have a large choir. We have a worship band. And there are just some songs that work better culturally on a pipe organ than with a worship band. So it begins to eliminate some of my song choices because it's got to be culturally sensitive to the people that we're ministering to. In other words, we've got to put on our anthropological hat a little bit and become amateur anthropologists. And we've got to become amateur anthropologists sometimes and look at our culture, look at what kind of sound and music that our church is responding to and really enjoy and really participate in. Okay, so that's a quick video today just to talk about the 3 things that I think about when I plan music at my local church, and I hope that that's helpful for you to kind of think through, and I hope that this was helpful for you today. So, see you in the next video.